Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is King Wabi, presenting to you another segment of Crypto World Radio, presented to you by Because Bitcoin. If you're watching us from YouTube, be sure to like, comment, turn on bell notifications, and subscribe so you can get consistent updates on our daily content. We have a morning, afternoon, mid-afternoon, and evening show. And today I'm here joined by Matt, a good friend of the show, as well as Naka. I met Matt back in March, February, around that time, and we've never really gotten a chance to kind of talk one-on-one in a formal manner. It's always been a big group discussion with people talking over each other, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that you took the time out of your day, Matt, so we can talk some of your experience in this market, given that you went through the Mount Gox cycle, and I think that was honestly one of the more crazier cycles, even relative to this one, given the fact that back then you had some exchange defaults that accounted for what was it like over 80% of the total BTC volume.
Yeah,
So
over 80%.
I mean that was essentially like a gun to the head to BTC, and they pulled the trigger, and that's when people started the whole obituary for BTC and crypto. So I'm glad to have you up here, brother. Naka, as of course, usual friend of the show. It's good to have you here, brother. So Matt, I know this is a bit of a different structure, but go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Sure. Thanks, Wabi. Yeah, wow, what a wild year it's been. But it feels so much longer. Yeah, I've been in the Bitcoin space since 2014. I was fresh out of the Marine Corps and starting my very first real career job with the Defense Intelligence Agency. And I got there, and my new coworkers are showing me around, and my leadership is introducing me to everyone. And then during our downtime, they tell me, "So, what do you think of Bitcoin?" I'm like, "Bitcoin? I mean, I don't know. I read about it in Time and Wired magazine. I don't know." And they said, "Well, we're all into Bitcoin here, so you want to hang out with us if you want to chill, you're gonna have to put up with that, or you're gonna have to learn." And that was my first touch with it. That was technically 2013, and as many are familiar, you need a couple. You need to dip your toe in the water, and then you learn more, and then finally you buy, and then inevitably it's at an all-time high.
It's just the way it
So
It
goes.
is.
so Matt, what was your experience like experiencing your first bear market? What was the sentiment like? Because I feel that many individuals that got into the space over the last 3 years really don't know how dark it can truly get, especially from the time that you got into this asset class, where like you didn't even have more than 2 years of BTC trading in an open market. Because before it would just be like through obscure websites in the dark web. So how was that experience like? Like what was the sentiment during that bear market, man,
Yeah.
after everything went down? Because I recall that Roger Ver made a pretty famous video within the Bitcoin community. And essentially, like he has this nice cushy background, he has a suit, and he goes along these scripted lines talking about how Mount Gox is the safest place to keep your Bitcoin. He trusts Mount Gox with his Bitcoin, and customers should trust Mount Gox because they're a reputable exchange with deep liquidity and good backers, and they will form the way for institutional investors to get in. And that's another thing, too. The whole phrase of quote unquote institutional money coming in has been a thing since 2012 2013 when BTC first crossed $100. That's essentially when Warren Buffett started bad mouthing it and all that stuff. So feel free to give us your thoughts, man. You can be as dark and brutal as you want.
I mean, Roger Ver wasn't as much on my radar way back when. Max Kaiser was way more on my radar because he would get on any station that would have a lot of Russian Today RT, And
Max Coin,
yeah,
bro. Max
no,
Coin.
this was way before. This was before the ICO crazes of 2016, 2017, 2018. So this was, this was 2013, 2014. And you just came off of the Winklevoss twins buying, uh, literally 1% of all Bitcoin, like a Billy, and Max Kaiser. Bitcoin was rocketing up. You can go look at the 2013 chart, from 150 all the way to 1,000, and it felt like just one season. And Max Kaiser was out there almost 10 years ago talking about how Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Way back then, he's like, look, this thing is just rocketing. Here come the institutions, here come big players. And it just felt very similar. You heard a lot of the same peak ultra bullish talk and hopium that you did in 2021. Um, and so anyway, long story short, the bear market felt very similar to now. It felt like you would have a capitulation. Everyone would kind of catch their breath and like, okay, that was crazy, negative 20% or negative 30% or negative 40% in 1 month or 2 months. And then here comes another. And then 3 months later, here comes another. And 2014 was just like 2022, where the whole year was just another leg down, another leg down, another leg down. I feel like I've been living in deja vu this last year because it was just like my very first touch with Bitcoin in a bear market. Um, uh, yeah, and I mean it truly did not bottom that entire year of 2014. It famously had that massive wick in January 2015 where everyone started to think, oh no, I think we're going to double digits Bitcoin. But yeah, you saw Mt. Gox finally implode and realize they were selling a lot of paper Bitcoin IOUs. You saw your first fledgling. Uh,
Oh my God, were Gox doing the fractional reserve scam as
yeah,
well?
yeah. That's the thing.
Oh
Like
my
okay, so that's the thing. That's
God.
why that's why people didn't wouldn't would roll their eyes or didn't understand when older Bitcoiners would tell you like, look. Paper Bitcoin is a real scary problem. It's a real issue. Some of these exchanges are doing that. They will sell you Bitcoin, and sure, you look on their screen, you log into your account, and oh yeah, look, I've got 3 or 4 or 10 Bitcoin on this exchange. But on the back end, they're doing whatever the hell they want with that value. They're bidding various DAOs. They're building out their exchange. They're giving everyone bonuses. They're doing whatever. They're buying up FTT. It doesn't like that. There's no law or rule that says they have to hold one for one assets when that exchange is overseas.
Matt, and let's also not forget that a few months after that capitulation in January, a few months later, around May, Bitfinex's hot wallet got hacked. And then the same thing occurred with Bitfinex yet again a few months after, actually, no, not a few months after, about a month or so after the halving. And
Yeah.
I want to know, like, how was that like a double whammy within a year, and one of those situations
That's
occurring
what I'm
after the halving.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel this 2022, I know this must seem so scary, so insane for our newcomers, but it is total deja vu. Because what have we seen this last year? You saw Celsius, then BlockFi, then Voyager, or I got the order mixed up, but you know what I mean. Now FTX. Well, the same thing was in 2014, 2015. You had the infamous Mt. Gox, and then Bitfinex, and then you know all these little smaller fledgling Bitcoin hedge funds blowing up one after another, just like 3AC this last year, just like so many others. These crypto hedge funds or Bitcoin hedge funds. They think they've sold the top. They think they timed their market, except they're keeping all their money and value on a fraudulent exchange, and then they still get rugged. It's just it's rough, but like some of your newer participants are learning the same lessons that we experienced 10 years ago.
So essentially becoming community members. Except except back then, what avenue did you guys have? Because
So yeah.
I know back in that time, the only people that you really had were people like Kobe and Jeebus, this other guy called Silver Bullet, who's like a metals commodities guy.
You
Um,
mean for like it's going to be okay or like better times ahead?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they were
um,
part of the community here
if
on Twitter. So like,
so, if you
like
if I was more
go ahead, go
I
ahead.
came more from the engineering and technical side, so that's why I found Andre Antonopoulos and those more the Bitcoin mining side, more the energy infrastructure technical side. Um, so then later when you know infamous names like Roger Ver are coming into this are taking up so much of the oxygen in the block size wars. Honestly, I was like, wait, who's this guy? Who? Never heard of him. Because everyone comes to Bitcoin or everyone comes to this space in their own avenue, so you might not be aware of who Kobe is, Crypto Kobe. For years and years.
Yeah, I know Roger. He tried making normie payments with BTC a lot more accessible. I believe he was the first brick and mortar business to allow clients and employees to be paid out in BTC. And I also know Ji Han Woo from Bitmain.
Hmm.
You know, of course, like you said, he took up a lot of the power when it came to the whole mining situation in
Yeah.
regards to Bitcoin. And
So
like, were you informed about like the mining situation as far as
yes,
how many
so
entities there were?
that felt that was also kind of scary because it felt like only yesterday you could still mine Bitcoin from GPUs, and now we're switching to dedicated ASIC machines that are so much more energy efficient and profitable than GPUs. Yet there's total monopolies on who build these things. So wait, what if these block size wars, as it's later now known, what if this doesn't get resolved for years and years? Are we just kind of stuck fighting against each other? Are we going to have more competition or like? And obviously, all of that got worked out. We now have legit competition in the ASIC space. Now you even have IBM entering the field now. But way back then, I mean, you bought your ASICs from China, and if they only delivered 8 out of 10, you said thank you. And thank you so much. I'm glad anything arrived. Um,
And one question: when the Ethereum project started making its rounds, how was that received initially from the Bitcoin community? I remember that Vitalik he used to write for a Bitcoin media
he was
company
head of
uh,
he was head of
well
Bitcoin
before that.
Magazine. He was literally
Yeah,
he. I
yeah.
don't. There's some ambiguity if he technically started it or it's just at one point he was the head of it. But look, he for a while there he was the head of Bitcoin Magazine.
Yeah, he used to get paid like 3 BTC an article or 3 BTC a week, something like that. I recall from his interview with Vice that was released right at the bottom of the bear market in 2019 when nobody wanted to know about BTC. I remember that bear market so clearly, given that a lot of the social capital that entered the system got completely wiped out from things like BitConnect and also the cloud mining scams. How was that like for you?
Yeah, I think so. So as we know in the bear market right now, the same thing was happening back then. You were quickly realizing that okay. because we had no shortage of random coins and random projects in 2014 and 2015. There was color coins and name coins and all these random coins, various food coins and tomato coins, and they, that didn't do anything. Basically, they maybe they had a website, they had a white paper, they had an actual change, but none of them actually did anything. So uh, there was a million promises for so many different coins, and when you started to hear about Vitalik and this idea of Ethereum, it was just like one more in a sea of noise. So honestly, it didn't get a lot of attention at first. Everyone was just everyone was just holding on to the seat of their pants with both hands because you're in the bottom of a bear market anyway. So like no one was thinking like, oh, let's risk it all on on yet another brand new idea that's not even live yet.
And during the bull market, um, did you expect that to happen relative to what you were thinking in 2014? Like how
No,
was that
no,
transition
there
like?
was a lot more. Ethereum was it wasn't even the first smart contract layer one. So it was very much way under the radar. A lot more oxygen was being paid to the quote unquote competition from Bitcoin Cash and the block size wars and Litecoin. Because remember, this was before Lightning. There was interesting articles and white papers and things, but Lightning was not live yet for Bitcoin. So there was all sorts of competition about like, well, how is Bitcoin ever going to do, you know, day-to-day payments, minute by minute payment, if you want to buy a burger or a coffee, like how is it going to handle all that interpersonal transaction volume when you start to think about all across the world? So there was like all sorts of narratives about like, well, maybe I should hedge and have a little Litecoin just in case that becomes a thing later. Or is it smart to hold on to both your Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash? There was all that talk. There was very little talk about at the time of what world computer, decentralized virtual machine, Ethereum idea.
Yeah, I'm asking you these questions because like you came into the market at such a pivotal time when things like other alternative payment solutions like Monero, XRP, and Dash, did those in particular stick out during that bear market relative to what BTC had done over the last few years?
No, no,
Like, was it?
just like now, like you couldn't get someone to write you couldn't get someone to write an article right now about Zcash or some of these other like uh, privacy coins or lesser known coins. Like right now, no one wants to touch anything except Bitcoin and then maybe Ethereum because they don't want to touch anything that doesn't have uh, the longevity or potential to survive out of a bear market. It feels just like then feels just like now. And yeah, of course you're going to have brighter days in the future, and the degens are going to flood back into this space, and every bullish narrative is going to get a bid. Those, of course, human nature is what it is, but right now, no, no.
Matt, so I guess the most important question out of this whole discussion is, from everything that you've seen across this asset class, what's kept you around despite all the quote unquote bad news, bad events, contagion? What are some of the things that have kept you around to stick around for what this asset class can do for the world?
I I think it's the legitimacy. Um, we used to sit around. This was before Bitcoin Twitter, certainly before Spaces and Clubhouse. But we used to sit around with friends at meetups or maybe on forums and talk about like hypo, how amazing this could be with hypotheticals and what ifs. But then you start to see it actually play out. You start to see that excuse me, that no, every single year, more and more exchanges and more um, hardware and hot wallets and more um, um, businesses are interested in Bitcoin in this space. And legitimate legacy players, not just your fly by night fraud FTXs, but the biggest news to me this year that flew under the radar is Fidelity. Fidelity Digital Assets is now offering and letting their VIP customers and now retail customers uh, hold and buy and withdraw Bitcoin right inside, you know, their own, right inside their own ecosystem. Like they're not. Um, this is gaining more adoption, more traction year after year. And yes, the blow off tops are nuts, and then the bear market troughs are so depressing. But uh, truly, if we zoom out, we're seeing greater adoption and more acceptance across the world.
So, in regards to what you mentioned about Fidelity, um, I know from what you said, Citadel essentially owns Robinhood. You're essentially
Right.
buying off of a fake front end. You think you're purchasing off of Vladimir, but you're actually purchasing off of good old Ken Griffith, right? So, something that I want to bring up, right? I know many people in the digital asset space are worried about Coinbase in regards to their bonds yielding 16%. And just like an FYI, guys, essentially that yield being that high is a sign that investors are worried about the company's ability to make interest payments. And given the fact that we are in, an in a high interest rate environment, um, those rates won't really kick in until Q1 going into Q2 of next year. So essentially, the risk to reward of those bonds going up higher is pretty significant, especially when the quantitative tightening uh, eventually makes its way into growth, right? But enough of the macroeconomics talk. My question to you, Matt, is do you see a situation where the management within Coinbase, given that they literally only make money during a bull market when retail is using their platform, paying absurd fees, um, would you say that essentially the institutions that everybody wants to come into the market aren't really going to be people buying spot market, but they are more interested in buying the platforms. Kind of like, I don't want to buy the gold, I want to buy the shovels. So would you entertain a situation where Citadel or maybe BlackRock, I don't know, man, um, would potentially buy out Coinbase if things get rough? Or do you think a platform like that eventually does have to go down, given their long history of insider trading? I mean, all of their I think the statistic is like for every batch of new employees at Coinbase, eventually more than half retire off of insider trading.
Yeah, those were some nuts stories about them front running, various coin listings and now they have a NFT and Web3 space on Coinbase. So I'm guessing that I'm sure they're gonna figure out ways to front run that on retail too. Um, no, quite frankly, so that's one of the exciting things about Bitcoin for me. The competition can come from all directions, all across the world. So if let's just pretend I'm BlackRock, you're Goldman Sachs, Naka is Fidelity. There's no incentive for any of us to buy Coinbase. Let's just build our own because you can access Bitcoin from anywhere. You certainly have no shortage of talent to like, oh, okay, make our website pretty. Um, if Coinbase, starts to go Chapter 11 and they need a bailout, well, great, we can buy their assets for pennies on the dollar. But there's we've seen my problem with Coinbase is you're right. The only way they make money is selling various altcoins and shitcoins to retail and profiting off of the volume. But well, every single bear market, they're going to go unprofitable. Like right now, they went from profitable in 2021 with healthy margins and impressive revenue to now they're unprofitable. Their latest earnings was just awful, and that's why they can't find a bottom. Well, what kind of business model is that? Like every single time Bitcoin has a bear market and all coins fall off a cliff, like your company might be unprofitable for 1 to 3 years. That's terrible. So I don't see why me as BlackRock or you as Goldman or Naka as Fidelity, like why would we copy that? You know, let's. Why would we just repeat those same old past mistakes?
When you enter the market,
But
when you go ahead, Naka, go ahead.
I was going to say, what would the alternative be if you don't want to build an exchange?
Well, there's better ways to profit off of helping people access and hold Bitcoin. Like one thing that no one does right now, including Coinbase, is they won't insure your Bitcoin holdings. Like, okay, yes, Coinbase does get regular audits and attestations that says, yes, we hold one for one like assets, but it's very important in the event of a bankruptcy, Chapter 11. Their bondholders that King Wabi was talking about get access to all of that capital first. So if you and I are holding 10 Bitcoin on Coinbase, well, that value goes to the bondholders before we're able to cash out in the event of a bankruptcy. So wow, whoop-de-doo, great. They hold one for one our assets, unlike FTX, but we're still potentially screwed in a bankruptcy. Well,
FTX had a similar policy, actually, I think, except instead of holding one for one Bitcoin, they were holding 0 for 1.
yeah, like, one FTT equal one Bitcoin? No, right?
No, I mean they literally didn't have any Bitcoins on the
Exactly.
exchange
Yeah,
when it
they were
all.
negative eight
No
thousand or
Bitcoins.
something. Yeah, they had 80,000 Bitcoin IOUs. That's what we're talking about with paper Bitcoin, where like, okay, yeah, I sold you a Bitcoin. You see that you own one Bitcoin on my exchange screen, but on the back end, I'm propping up the value of my FTT token. Anyway, so like how do you make money in this? Well, you can imagine there's big players. Maybe you're a company like MicroStrategy. Maybe you're just a wealthy family. Who knows? But you're willing to pay, I don't know, a 0.5% or even 1% of your wealth for insurance, just so you know that your funds and your Bitcoin is protected in the event of a bankruptcy or protected in the event of a hack, whatever. Like
Yeah,
people will pay
you
for
can
that
actually,
protection.
you can actually get that on Nexus Mutual. You can get Coinbase insurance. It costs, I think, 2.6% per year, and you have to provide them with proof that you have the assets, but you can get it.
Naka, and how exactly does that insurance work when it pertains to Bitcoin? Because I know with Nexus, I only know them for more of like the DeFi side, where it's like, oh, if a protocol gets hacked, you quote unquote qualify for X amount relative to what you had. How exactly would that work when it pertains to things like exchanges? I feel like that information many people don't know. So feel free to
Well,
explain
I
that,
mean,
brother.
you basically go to their website. I can put a link to it in the nest in a second, and you sign up for insurance, right? And you have to provide them with proof that you actually have assets on Coinbase, right? You can't buy Coinbase insurance just as a way to speculate on Coinbase collapsing, which is a shame, but you can't do it. Um, but yeah, you basically just pay, right? You pay 2.6% of the amount you want to insure. So if you had $100 on Coinbase, you could pay $2.60 for 1 year's worth of insurance, and then if Coinbase rugs, you will get your $100 back. And they've actually already said they're going to pay out on FTX, but I think there's still a waiting period until like January or something.
Okay, perfect. Well, I see we're at the halfway mark. Guys, if you're just joining into the space, we're here joined by Matt. He's a good friend of the show, and we're discussing all things Bitcoin. Anything from sentiment, how cycles played out, what he's seen in the market, and eventually we'll get into the topic of what he would like to see from the digital asset space moving forward. And again, my name is King Wabi, and I host daily shows here on Twitter Spaces on the Because Bitcoin page. And my segment is called Crypto World Radio, where all of our guests are either devs or certain projects that are developing within the space, people from the crypto Twitter community, Bitcoin community, people of all walks, and definitely no like shitcoin projects. That's one thing that is not encouraged here. You'll never see a low cap being shilled by me here publicly. But yeah.
Pretty soon, all altcoins are going to be low cap.
But yeah, guys. Up on the nest. I do have a link to our Discord. We're reaching 1,000 members. If you guys want to join a vibrant community that's always active from people all across the world, feel free to join. You can always see me there on the voice chat during you know uh, the wee hours of the night, and definitely a lot of fun there. So go ahead, click that link, and join our Discord. And again, I'll be hosting all of my Bitcoin crypto specific spaces via Because Bitcoin. And we also have Market Talk in about an hour or so, hosted by Carter, who sometimes also does his shows on our Because Bitcoin YouTube. And one more thing before we start the show rolling on again. Both the morning and afternoon shows are hosted via live stream on our YouTube. So we're always providing you guys with daily content around the clock. And also be sure to check out becausebitcoin.com, where you can be consistently informed about all things equities and crypto related via our articles. And I believe our writer here, Valentine, is here in the chat as a listener. What's going on, Valentine? And also, we have some of our Discord community members here. What's up, Nicholas? What's going on, Sideline? Good to see you guys here. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there, given that there are a plethora of new listeners. So, Matt, brother, I guess the
Yeah.
next thing that we could entertain is, what's one thing that at the very least you can look back on this asset class over the last like 8-9 years that you can say is honestly an advancement? Like, what's one step forward that this digital asset space has done that you're proud of, whether that's what El Salvador did, or other places like Venezuela and Chile offering people to hold their wealth in BTC and pay with BTC in regards to common goods, or even MicroStrategy. I mean, MicroStrategy, not MicroStrategy, but with what he's done, which is essentially give, like, I guess, a stamp of approval, right? As far as like
Yeah.
publicly traded companies holding BTC, or maybe like what Elon did with
It's
Tesla.
always
What
it's
are some
always hard to go
developments that
first.
you
That's
that you've
true.
enjoyed?
It's
Yeah. So,
always,
like,
yeah.
what are some developments that you've
I
enjoyed
think
over the last like years?
for myself, anecdotally, I'd say it's the ability to send money, send value across borders, across oceans, with no middleman that tells you you're allowed to or not. So, one of the coolest things I saw after my time in the Marine Corps and Department of Defense is I had uh, I had one Marine who's Nigerian and um, descent, and most of his family is still in Nigeria. And as we know, Nigeria has one of the largest Bitcoin per capita adoption rates. It rivals the US and a massive young population. Um, anyway, he would regularly send money back home, send it to his folks or his younger siblings. And they found that, like, wow, they can send money back so much quicker, easier, cheaper through Bitcoin rails. His family doesn't have to hold on to the Bitcoin when it arrives there. Um, If they want, they can immediately sell it into local fiat or just keep the Bitcoin. But that ability to circumvent Western Union, our banks here, their banks there, we forget that as soon as you are crossing borders, you like Cash App, Venmo, that doesn't work. Like I have my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law live and work in Germany, and even though my brother-in-law works for the literally the Deutsche Bank in Berlin, I can't send him money via Cash App or Venmo, or like we have to find weird third parties that will speak to each other. And this is two Western countries, in the Western world. So imagine you're, trying to send money back home to South Africa, Nigeria, Venezuela, Peru, like you name it, El Salvador, on and on and on, let alone if you've got, Chinese relatives or Japan or Russia, like forget about it. Like, enjoy your 5, 10, 15 or worse haircut, just trying to send, money back and forth or buy something overseas or you name it. Like so much of your money gets absorbed by the middlemen, by the powers that be, or literally just tell you like, no, you're not allowed. Haven't you read the news? Our country and that country now have a political spat or some sort of like minor conflict or war. Now, no one from either country is allowed to transact with each other until said spat is over. Like, it's terrible, but we've lived like that for since time immemorial. Maybe this is starting to turn around, but I've been incredibly heartened to see just how quickly that has changed in the last 9, 10 years that I've been in the Bitcoin space. And the adoption rate that flywheel is picking up speed. It's not just we're not crawling anymore. It's happening exponentially.
Matt, and in regards to that situation, a lot of individuals across the world, they depend on things like exchanges. A lot of them, they aren't able to have ledgers and things of that nature. What do you think some standards have to be implemented when it comes to these exchanges? Because, it's been what, 10 years, and
Yeah.
how is it that something like FTX, which was exposed to the Clintons, which was exposed to Gensler, and other individuals like Maxine Waters, like people very, very, very high up in the government, like, that Wall Street chart, how can the government allow this to happen? Well, the question now truly is, how can the government allow this to happen? And from the fundamental events that have occurred, such as FTX, right? You would expect that to be quote unquote priced into the market. But the fact of the matter is, a 10% deviation from June's low does not justify FTX truly having, what was it? They said they had like $30 billion worth of assets. So,
Well,
that could
they
hurt.
were valued at that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I take your
Yeah.
point. I
So,
take your point. They claimed they were entrusted with 80,000 Bitcoin that they did not have. That's the short way to say that.
so, if certain exchanges that, have been more transparent, like Binance, right? Like you can see they hold, what is it, like 2 million BTC, right? If things like that do go under, which is, we're in December of 2022, next week is 2023. If we have a platform like Binance going down, you essentially unbanked the unbanked who became banked off of a platform in
Well,
this
well, this
industry.
is
So,
why. So to back way up, and to talk about, um, our original point with Mount Gox. That's why actually I'm incredibly heartened to see incredible competition in the exchanges space. Like there across the world, there are so many exchanges that we can all list here. There's too many to count. And yes, Binance and FTX and Coinbase take up a lot of the oxygen in the Western world that we talk about, but there are so many exchanges out there, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So like, okay, I don't trust Binance. Great. I can go over to Kraken. I can go over to Coinbase. I could if I'm in the US. Oh, great. I can just buy Bitcoin straight from Strike, Swan, hell, Robinhood, and take it straight to my cold wallet. That's good because if you have lots and lots of different options, then if FTX turns out to be a complete fraud or BlockFi and Voyager go under, like we're not going to have a problem like we did with Mt. Gox, where 80%, all of a sudden, 80% of Bitcoin's trading volume just vanishes because they were so big all for so much of the world. That's all getting decentralized out. That's a good thing. And then the other half is I wouldn't touch an exchange that wouldn't let you immediately withdraw your Bitcoin and your coins off of it and take it into your possession. Like the problem with FTX was not that they were letting you buy and sell Bitcoin, but the problem was 80,000 Bitcoin was just never removed from their exchange. If people wanted to buy from FTX daily and then put it into their cold wallet, they were fine. Those people are fine. It's all the people who just left it there, trusting that, well, I'm sure that, they say they're good for it. That's the problem. And unfortunately, that's the lesson that we learned, 9, 10 years ago with Mount Gox. That's the lesson that some of the newcomers relearned this year with you name whatever exchange. And that's the lesson that, future newcomers will have to learn. Hopefully it's not as brutal, but that's the importance of it. Like, hey, you buy something, take possession of it. You own something, take control over it. Don't leave it
Yeah,
out of your control.
it's a bit weird, really. We kind of use crypto exchanges not just to exchange, but also as a bank, right? It's like a crypto bank,
Right.
and we really need to stop doing that, right?
Yes,
We
you
really
really
need to
do.
culture
Well, that's what I was
people.
talking about, where and that's where we got on that sidetrack about, like, how's Fidelity or Goldman Sachs going to make money on that? Well, if they want to go ahead and outcompete all the current exchanges, well, they could fully insure your value if you held coins with Fidelity. If they said, look, you are 100% fully insured, no matter if bankruptcy or hack, like that's how you could stop that, and that would be useful to
Yeah,
like
maybe.
MicroStrategy, who
I
have
mean,
to
it,
prove over and over they've got the Bitcoin.
yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of the space moving forward as a whole, we need to get to a place where people just don't have the idea of keeping crypto on an exchange. Like,
Yeah,
it just doesn't occur to people to do that. Like, have you ever been to the supermarket and bought some food, and then once you've bought it, you're just like, I'll just leave that there. I'll be back for it when I need it. Just hold on to my food, please. Like, no, you don't do that. You take it home every
right.
single time. I think it should be like that with crypto. The problem really is that you know the space for wallets is kind of still new, right? Like wallets are actually getting a lot better, um, but it is still a bit new, right? So right now, if you're an ordinary person and you want to buy a wallet to put your crypto on, it's still like kind of inconvenient. It's still kind of intimidating. And it still does have that issue where if you make one mistake, you lose everything. So, there is a bit of an issue there where basically the wallet side needs to get better, right? It
Yeah,
needs to be like, when you send money from a wallet, it needs to have like a beginner mode where it doesn't let you send it all. It just says, okay, you're making this send. We're going to send 10% of it. Are you okay with that? And like, that's the default thing so that people don't accidentally send like people do all sorts of random shit, because they don't understand how to use it. So, we need to fix that. There's also the kind of account abstraction, social recovery type of stuff that's going on over in the Ethereum world where like, you have things like Argent, where you can actually recover your wallet from your friends, right? You have social recovery. So, that's certainly interesting, right? For people who might lose their their seed phrase. But I mean,
they
it's
call them guardians. I remember that well. They call them guardians.
Yeah, right. So you basically appoint your friends to be your guardians. And what you can even do is you can even have some friends and some hardware wallets, right? So you have like it's going to be Matt's going to be one of my guardians, and my Ledger's going to be another one, and my Trezor's going to be another.
And you
I need 2 out of 3.
And you have that with Bitcoin too, whether you're talking multi-sig or Fediments. But you're right. It's just so.
The user experience isn't good.
Yeah,
user experience.
It's just so new. It's just so brand new. It really does. Like I was just a little kid, but it really does remind me of the '90s internet, where you've everything just feels so janky and pre-production.
Like Matt, I'm going to show my age. I'm in my late 30s, right? I remember fucking playing computer games on a really big, heavy CRT monitor, right? Like an old, like it was really heavy because it was made of glass, and my computer had like the first like Windows 3.1, not even Windows 95. Holy shit, right?
Yeah.
And actually the first games I played were on DOS. I mean, it does kind of. I think we're.
What was that?
I played games on. I booted up the original
games.
Doom.
Like you enter the cave as a wizard.
No. But like Doom, right? No. But like the game launched from DOS, right? Like the original Doom and
yeah.
You had to go to the command line and type, CD space games, /doom.exe.
Matt, I do have one question to ask you. You've been here for almost 10 years now. How would you react if BTC literally round trips 90% to like 6K?
I would say
kind of like it did.
Yeah.
Kind of like it did in the bear market that you were initiated in, where there's a full 90% retracement. And one thing we do kind of have to entertain.
It was 87%, but let's not quibble.
What's the amongst friends?
I mean, believe me, if you lived through that, like, oh yeah, it was 86.6%. You know how far we fell.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. If we did, if Bitcoin fell all the way back down to 10, 11K, I would not be surprised, because I'm starting to really think that this 2020, 2021 bull market for the Western world, I think it was just all money printing. I think it was just all debasement. It was just, you name it, whether you're talking PPP loans or COVID relief, or various checks that were mailed out to your citizenry. Like, it feels like so much of that bull market was just off of government printing money. And it would not surprise me if we did fully do a round trip. You already have so many of your household, quote unquote, blue chip stocks. They've already round tripped. Look at Facebook.
Like Tesla.
Well, yeah, Tesla. Yeah.
The most famous one.
Look at Meta Facebook. Meta Facebook. If you bought Meta Facebook 5 years ago, you were underwater by over 50%. Can you imagine that? If you bought Facebook 5 years ago, you're negative 50, 60% today. Like, forget the bull market of 2020, 2021. They're living back they've gone all the way back to 2017 prices. Like, there's a lot of companies just like that. Boy, I don't know.
So
This
Matt,
last bull run might have been complete fraudulent.
Speaking of monetary debasement and all that stuff, one thing that this asset class has never experienced is essentially a recession, but out of that recession, the quantitative easing that follows. So in your eyes, Matt, how does the space look coming out of a recession, and the extreme high possibility that the next round of QE will make the COVID QE look like cupcakes and rainbow bright? How does the space look? Like, do you think we're going to see, a ton of Celsiuses and Voyagers talking about, earn yield on your BTC? Because, one thing that history has proven is that an environment where the money printer is on and interest rates are near zero, Yes, innovation does run wild, but that froth creates complacency and an extreme amount of greed. So how do you think the space looks like in that environment? Because I am honestly not in the camp that the space is taken super seriously out of a recession and all that stuff. I honestly think we run it back to froth that truly the world has never experienced and will likely never see
I
again.
see.
Like I honestly
Yeah.
think that the next like upcycle, the next bull market, bull run, whatever you want to call it, will essentially be the biggest bubble that this asset class will ever see in its lifetime.
See, I think we already saw it. I think that it just so we were just talking about how this feels like this last 9 years felt like fledgling internet. It felt like the 90s internet, and I swear the dot-com bubble of 2000 feels like the crypto bubble of 2020 or let's call it 2022. Like it like you had a website for every single idea. Oh, here's a website for your dog. Here's a website for the cure to cancer. Here's a website for a million websites for weather, and all of them were getting massive funding and bidding. That's how Mark Cuban became a billionaire, because he sold his dinky little weather and sports website to Yahoo for billions. Like that, it feels like that's what the crypto crash, this crypto bubble pop, it feels like the internet bubble pop. So but then look what you got after the year 2000. You got legitimate internet companies. That's when Google came onto the scene. Amazon became a real online exchange, marketplace. Apple became the Apple that we're familiar with. You name it, go all the way down the list, all of them. So yeah, I think that post 2022 is going to look a lot more legitimate than pre. We're going to look back like years from now. People are going to ask like, "Oh, you were in the Bitcoin space before 2020? Like, what was that even? Was that like with wood? What was that? What was that in black and white?" Yeah. Don't sleep on innovation and the march of technology going forward.
Well, the only question is like, what does the next ARK Invest look like? So she came in, she came in after .com. So I mean, ARK pretty much went up only for like 18 months, right, leading up to Q1 2021. So it's like, who's going to be that Kathy Wood,
Well, I'm
because she's also a sacrificial lamb, bro. Like that thing looks brutal.
Yeah.
there
Well,
was
I mean,
something.
she
Yeah,
she she
go ahead.
she looked better when she was younger. I think she should change her name to Kathy Wouldn't.
Well, I think uh, how to put this gently. I think you're gonna have, just like you had a K-shaped recession, you're gonna have a K-shaped recovery, and the assets with the profitable assets that have value, that generate cash flow, that are making money, are gonna spring forward, leap out of the recession, and the stuff that never had a profit or pre-profit, never gonna make a profit, like they'll die in the bottom of the bear market, or they'll find their true value. um, Bringing it back to Bitcoin and Coinbase, like that's a perfect example. Look at Coinbase, where the market caps and value of Bitcoin and random altcoins and shitcoins has fallen so much that Coinbase went from a printing money, high revenue quarter after quarter company to now they literally lose money. They literally are unprofitable, and they've already gone through layoffs and hiring freezes. Like they've already been cutting their expenses. Like so, um, that's it's just one example, but like you're gonna see that across the board in
It's just
various
like it's like
assets.
a wait. So it's like a wait and see,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
You name it.
I, I see we have our fellow boy here, Paragali here. He's always on Market Talk as well. So it's good to have you up here, brother. Feel free to ask any questions or add
I
in any
actually do have a
statements.
question. Thank you, King Bobby, and giving me the microphone for today as well, and appreciate you guys discussing really interesting topics about Bitcoin. Yesterday, I believe, if not yesterday, I remember it was yesterday. We were talking about the US dollar index, probably have already reached a peak pretty much, and maybe will go as high as 107 and probably go down from there. I just have a different conviction for that. Like, given the recession is looming, I'm actually looking at the charts when recessions have happened. And it seems that during recession, especially during the peak of recession, the dollar index actually booms quite aggressively. So if that scenario is correct, then would it be fair to say that the US dollar index will actually see new highs, maybe potentially 120 or even 130? Just depends on how deep that recession is that we're going to see next year. I just want to ask a question about that because I'm actually looking to position myself according to that and try to short my foreign currencies based on that kind of notion, given the fact that I'm trying to price in my basically conviction that it will be recession and the US dollar could appreciate as high as those numbers that I've just mentioned.
You said
I mean,
170?
yeah, no, he said 120, 100, right?
Oh,
120 or 130. It just depends on, it could be even higher
Right.
depending on the recession.
The problem with this is if you have a situation where the US has already done most of its hiking, and then Europe and maybe other countries that are included in DXY are like playing catch up, it's actually going to send the dollar index down.
yeah. Like my TLDR answer is basically inflation is peaked. Supply chain, like the global supply chain issue is being addressed. If you look at the Harpex shipping index, which pretty much went up only until like Q3 of 2021, or my bad, Q4 of 2021. I'm sorry. You'll see that it's essentially forming a Burj Khalifa, and it's going back down to 2019, 2018 levels. It's essentially down almost 80% from its high off of 2021. And also, if you look at China, right, people are not looking at China enough. If you look at their 2-year cement production, they're essentially at all-time low. And also, as far as like job market is concerned, small business companies and medium-sized companies, their hiring levels are back down to pre-pandemic activity. And on top of that, you also have like home builder sentiment at all-time lows.
Right,
And
but I mean, the thing is, Wabi, this is not a
yeah.
chat
we're talking about
DX.
others.
I thought that like all these things add to the dollar. I thought all these like
So Wabi, DXY is just a combination of exchange rates, right? It's like dollar pound, dollar euro, all of the stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So I know
to me,
I think the main point. I think the main point would be like, all right, the interest rate hike cycle is coming to an end. And
that's bearish for DXY. That's bearish for DXY, right? Because what's going to happen is the other countries still have hiking to do, right? So whichever country is doing the hiking is going to actually strengthen its currency. So the fact that the key is that the US did it earlier than the others, and that's why DXY maybe has topped.
But my question isn't the hiking, because when the recession does come in, the hiking will have already stopped or would have actually moved into the direction of a reversal, like a Fed pivot or other countries' central banks doing this, following the same kind of path. But my understanding,
maybe not. We have to look back at history, and we see that in past recessions, we all know of the 2000 dot-com bubble. Well, the DXY didn't top out right at the year 2000. In fact, it made a higher high in 2000, in late 2000. It made a higher in late 2001, and then another higher high, technically, in spring 2002. So we just don't know since it's measured against all the other currencies, major currencies of the world. We just don't know what other countries are going to be able to keep up with the Fed rate hikes and who are going to capitulate. Because maybe your other countries decide like, oh, we just can't keep
They start
hiking
printing money,
rates. We
right?
have to cut.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
they might
And then
capitulate.
that right, and then that would be bullish DXY, right? So
That would
I
be
guess
yeah.
bullish DXY.
I
That's
guess
why my view was actually like I think the capitulation will happen early in other countries, like probably in the EU, or it could be in Sweden, UK, where they will be beginning to print money much earlier than the US, because Fed has been quite aggressive in trying to get that 2%. So if the other countries capitulate earlier during recession, then shouldn't that kind of increase US dollar index
I mean,
effectively?
my take on all of this is I personally don't take macro trades that I really, unless I really have to, because making money off macro is extremely hard, and the best people in the world who know way more about it than we do are like not really very profitable. Like, zooming out a little bit, right? If you're an individual trader with a small portfolio, $500, 5,000, 50,000, something like that, you really don't want to dip your toes into any of these big markets like currencies, forex, that kind of thing, because what you've done is like you've minimized your advantage for being small by stepping into a very liquid market. You want to be in the most illiquid markets you can be in, like trading NFTs or shitcoins or something like that. You know,
I get what you're saying. Like,
the pros
stick to
can't trade those
misunderstood.
markets. The
Yeah,
pros can't
stick to
trade those markets.
misunderstood assets where you think
Exactly.
you might have an edge. I don't want to. Let's not recommend anyone go into shitcoins and NFTs.
Yeah,
But
but I
like,
mean,
yeah, where do
if
you
you're
think
gonna
you have an edge?
if you're gonna trade profitably, you're gonna trade much better. You know, trading shitcoins and NFTs and trying to beat. The macro hedge funds trading DXY. Now you still have to know about these things though, and I'll tell you why you have to know about them, because all of the shitcoins and NFTs, they're basically this kind of weird derivative of macro, right? When the right conditions happen, you get this growth of all of the crap, right? All of the garbage. And that's what you want, right? We're kind of like, we're basically dumpster divers, right? That's what we're doing, right? We don't want normal economic conditions where where people are like paying an honest amount of money for an honest service. We want like euphoria. We want stupid conditions so we can sell dog coins.
Naka, look, bro. I'm not sure what you're talking about when we're speaking about trash, dude. I want to let you know that making payments on the AVAX C chain, right, after I bridge from Solana, that's not any indicative of any froth. That is not indicative that you should sell everything. Everybody knows that bridging is revolutionary, and then bridging back from AVAX to Bitcoin, right? That's going to happen next cycle. I think.
I
I
have to
think.
say that you're asking me. So you're asking me like what was most impressive in the last 8-9 years, and I was saying like, oh wow, just the explosion of cross-border payments and exchanging value and money across seas. And I think the least impressive is all these different coins, and their biggest innovation is figuring out how they can trade their coins amongst themselves. Like that is that is peak navel gazing. Like, I have created this AVAX coin, and my peak innovation is figuring out how to exchange it for your Solana
Ex-
coin. That is nothing.
exactly.
That is wow. That
Exactly.
is nothing.
That's it. It's kind of an insider joke that we have within the
Yeah.
community. But
But it just triggered. Yeah, I just thought of that. Like, oh boy, that sums up. That really does sum. And now we ask, like, well, why is the coin down negative 98%? Well, that's why, because in
yeah,
2 years you figured
yeah.
out how
Um,
to, I
but
don't know, do nothing.
yeah, Matt, dude, it was great. Chilling with you and having a formal space, more like one on one, instead of having like the usual 12 speakers and yelling over each other. Guys, I do want to make an announcement here now that we're approaching end of year. I'm doing my best to bring on Jeff Wenger onto my spaces. In case you guys don't know, he's the head of Wisdom Tree, and they have tradable ETFs in the equity markets. And sometime next year or early 2024, Wisdom Tree will be having a smart contract ETF. as well as like some things that have direct correlation to Bitcoin. And I think having him on the show, sort of bridging both worlds together will be pretty interesting to hear, especially from somebody that, in my opinion, is truly the best in the game. Um, for those of you in the Bitcoin, I mean, for those of you in the Cuz Bitcoin inner circle communities, you guys know that Jeff Winiger is like a hero of mine. I've learned so much from him over the last 6 months. He's like a mentor to me. So, over the next couple of weeks, I'll do my best to have him on the show, and, hopefully it provides value. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of Crypto World Radio here on Because Bitcoin. If you guys enjoy more of these Bitcoin slash crypto specific spaces, feel free to follow the Because Bitcoin page. I'll be doing spaces as far as like crypto specific and Bitcoin specific exclusively on Because Bitcoin, as I have over the last 2 weeks. I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for coming on and like supporting me, and always leaving me your feedback and joining the spaces. I want to thank all the speakers, and also Paragali for coming up. And yeah, it truly means a lot for me, guys. It really does. I've always wanted to be a part of something and help something grow from anything that I can produce and adds value to you guys. I hope this has been a wonderful experience for you all. I want to say God bless you. I hope you guys have a good vacation and all that stuff. I hope you had a good breakfast. So I know we have our boy Payne up here, but he's driving to Oklahoma. um, yeah, he's actually a farmer, guys, and that's my dream to live on a farm forever and just be a Bitcoin miner. I think that's a peaceful life, living on a farm and just mining Bitcoin. I think that's heaven. Payne, if you want to give any closing thoughts, I know you're a bit late to the party, so feel free to say what's up or anything, man. If there's any reception where you are.
Yeah, man, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so if you can't hear me, it's I don't know if you can or not, but I'm driving through Oklahoma to go visit my family right now. But appreciate you having me up here, and appreciate you, Matt, for coming on the show. And thanks to everyone who showed out.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Thank you for coming on. Also, guys, tomorrow's guest, Matt, if you can confirm with me,
Yeah.
Magoo's confirmed for 7 p.m. tomorrow, right?
Yes. Didn't we?
Yeah. We did. Yeah.
7 p.m. Eastern,
Yeah,
Thursday,
yeah,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah. So, yeah, guys, tomorrow, I'll be hosting Magoo, on Crypto World Radio. So look forward to that. I'm also a big fan of Magoo's over the last like 8 months or so. He's another individual that's very smart on the crypto side and also the macroeconomic side. So I want to thank you all again, and I look forward to having you all here again tomorrow. Matt, any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Look, 2014, just like 2022, was down only. But if you have a bag of money, divided by 6, divided by 12, whatever, get yourself Bitcoin in 2023. You'll be fine. You'll be happy.
Perfect. Naka, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Matt, although, I would be more balanced between ETH and BTC, but I think that's correct.
Perfect, man. Paragali, if you want to give any closing thoughts, feel free, brother.
Yeah, I'm just in parallel to both these guys. I want to get Bitcoin at $7,000 in 2023. Let's see.
All right, man. All right. If the Nasdaq goes to 6,900 and rebrands to the McNasdaq and has to hand out some Bitcoin NFTs, maybe it'll cause a run from 6,900 on the Nasdaq to 42K Nasdaq. Meme numbers, am I right? So yeah, guys. If you enjoy this content, feel free to Follow the Because Bitcoin Twitter page. Turn on bell notifications for consistent updates in regards to the crypto and equity markets. And also a reminder for you guys: in 30 minutes, we will be having Market Talk with Big Brandon here live on Twitter Spaces at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you guys are listening from YouTube, feel free to like, comment any feedback, and subscribe if you enjoyed content like this. I always enjoy the feedback. And also, another reminder that every day from Monday through Friday, we have daily content for you guys. We have a morning show with Snorlax and Premise that cover the equity markets, and then a lunchtime show, usually 12 p.m. Eastern Time, where it's more of a TA focused style on the equity and crypto markets. And then we have Market Talk with Big Brandon, who covers all things macroeconomics. And then myself covering things in regards to more Bitcoin and crypto exclusive fundamentals. And we have guests anywhere from developers, um, people that are working for projects on more of a marketing side, introducing new things such as Neutron, and in time over the next couple of weeks, people like Nilian Network and Celestia, things that will, in my opinion, be adding growth and innovation to the space. And more Bitcoin related things such as Magoo and Matt, and um, things like the spaces yesterday with individuals that are familiar with developments on Bitcoin, such as D++, and we went over some smart contract stuff. So if you want to catch up on that, feel free to check out episode 8, which was done about two days ago. And also, if you want to be informed more in depth as far as the crypto venture capital market side, feel free to check out our earlier spaces from this week. Feel free to check out last night's episode, which is, well, technically this is episode 10, because I did do a double show, but feel free to check out the video that was uploaded before this one to get more of an in-depth on the venture side of things. And with that being said, thank you all again for tuning in to another episode of Crypto World Radio. My name is King Wabi. See you guys during Market Talk with Big Brandon. Be sure to tune in at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. God bless you.
The trading current is just math. It's just math. It has a 95.45% hit rate when we deviate outside of CP2 and CN2. All you had to do is recognize that 95% of the time when we get over here, under this blue line, we get some sort of mean reversion. So let's just assume you long right here. 95 out of 100 times, when I buy this, I'm gonna get some sort of bounce. It's just math. Look what would have happened as we move up. Look at the bounce that came after. And now look where we are. If you had just blindly followed the current, you take all emotions out of it, and you say, I'm going to trust the statisticians, you would have bought Dow Jones somewhere down here under 30,000, depending on how you want to measure it from absolute top to bottom, 20% move. We also have multi-time frame alerts. You don't even have to be at your computer on TradingView. You can ping your phone. Now, the current has some really awesome features, and I would urge you guys to join our Discord to get access to it. We give it away for free as a tool to the community. It's just math. There's really no need to overcomplicate things, not even in the slightest.